security, fraud. Victoria Sterling's voice slices through Gate 12A like a scalpel, precise and merciless. Her manicured finger jabs into 16-year-old Amara Thompson's chest with surgical accuracy, each word a sting. This seat isn't for people like you. Amara clutches her first-class boarding pass like a lifeline. Victoria snatches it, turning it over like it's contraband. Terminal chatter dies mid-sentence. Phones hover. Everyone watches. "I don't care what this paper says," Victoria hisses, her theatrics calibrated for maximum humiliation. "You don't belong in first class." She rips the boarding pass in two. Paper scraps flutter to the floor. Amara bends, trembling, to retrieve them. Victoria's stiletto crushes one fragment mercilessly. "Nice try, sweetheart. Seen this scam before." The humiliation burns hot as 300 strangers drink in every second. Amara's phone vibrates, a message from her father, but Victoria won't see it, not yet. 4 hours earlier, Amara arrived alone at the international terminal. Her hoodie is plain, her backpack worn. First-class travelers glide by in designer armor. The ticket agent barely glances up. "Economy is over there, honey." Amara slides her confirmation across the counter. "First class to London, please." The agent freezes. She studies the document like it might bite her. "Are you traveling with family?" "No, just me." "And you're how old?" 16. The skepticism hangs in the recycled airport air. Reluctantly, the agent prints the boarding pass. Gate 12A, boarding in 2 hours. At the cafe, Amara overhears gossip. 2 flight attendants sip lattes. "Victoria's on the London route today," says the blonde. "She has 0 patience for suspicious upgrades," adds the brunette. "Remember that basketball player last month? She made him prove his card could cover first class." Amara texts her father. "Beginning the test. We'll report everything." His reply, "You're anonymous today. Experience it like any customer." 3 terminals away, Victoria Sterling reviews her passenger manifest. 23 years in the skies have honed her instincts. Green checks for frequent flyers, question marks for newbies, and then Amara Thompson, age 16, first class, traveling alone. Victoria frowns at the photo. A young black girl, casual hoodie, backpack slung over one shoulder, probably a glitch, or worse, credit card fraud. She circles the name, scribbles instructions. Verify payment. Check ID thoroughly. Her reputation rests on catching what others miss. Today she has no idea she's about to humiliate her boss's daughter. Boarding begins. Amara steps into line, calm but trembling underneath. Victoria descends on Gate 12A like a hawk spotting prey. Eyes lock. The gate agent stiffens, whispers something urgent. "I need to verify your boarding documents," Victoria says, every syllable a command. Routine? Not for Amara. First-class passengers crane their necks to watch. Amara hands over her boarding pass and ID with the poise of a teenager raised to survive scrutiny. Victoria inspects everything with exaggerated care, holding documents to the light like they might combust. Passengers murmur in approval. "This seems irregular," Victoria announces, venom in every word. "How exactly did you acquire a first-class ticket?" "My father purchased it." "And what does your father do?" The question lingers, sharp as a knife. Victoria's smile is a mask that never reaches her eyes. A businessman mutters behind Amara, "Good catch, Victoria. These upgrade scams are getting sophisticated." Victoria signals the gate agent. "Pull up the purchase history." Screens reveal a corporate credit card, expedited processing, every detail legitimate. Confusion flickers across the gate agent's face. Victoria's jaw tightens. Being wrong is a luxury she cannot afford. "Computer systems can be compromised," Victoria announces theatrically to her captive audience. "I'm exercising my authority as senior cabin crew to conduct additional screening." Murmurs of approval ripple through the crowd. "Step aside, please," Step here, please. Victoria transforms suspicion into spectacle. Amara moves forward, uncertainty coiling in her stomach. Every eye follows. Every heartbeat is public. Is there a specific problem with my documentation? Amara asks, voice calm but threaded with steel. The problem, Victoria hisses, circling her like a predator assessing wounded prey, is your story doesn't add up. First-class tickets cost thousands. And here she is, hoodie thrifted, backpack scuffed from years of use. Passengers form a human amphitheater, drawn in by the spectacle. Phones rise like torches, capturing every humiliating angle for social media consumption. Ma'am, I have every right to be here. Victoria laughs, a sound sharp enough to cut glass. Rights? Let me explain your rights, sweetheart. I have absolute authority over who boards this aircraft. If I determine you're unfit for first-class service, you don't fly first class. Period. She signals airport security, drama heavy in every gesture. Two officers approach, reluctant, squinting at a polite teenager, not a threat. I want this boarding pass verified by fraud prevention immediately. Victoria snatches it from Amara's hands, checking for counterfeiting, stolen credit cards, anything suspicious. The officers exchange uneasy glances. Ma'am, our system's already validated everything. Victoria's voice climbs, performance level intensity. I don't care what your systems show. Look at her. Does she look like she belongs in first class? Gasps ripple through the crowd. Some passengers inch back, sensing the moral wrong unfolding. Others lean forward, nodding, emboldening Victoria's prejudice. Her father supposedly works in aviation, probably custodial staff attempting a scam. Amara feels the sting of tears threatening, but she refuses them. Her father taught her, tears are a weapon for bullies, a way to win what they want most. I'd like to speak with your supervisor. I am the supervisor here, Victoria snaps, stepping closer, invading Amara's space with deliberate intimidation. And I'm telling you to take your little fraud scheme somewhere else. My aircraft maintains certain standards. The businessman from before mutters, just put her in economy, Victoria. Let's keep this moving. Victoria basks in the approving murmur of the crowd, her cruelty swelling like a storm. No. She attempted to defraud this airline. Security must investigate fully before she tries this again. One officer tries to de-escalate. Miss, maybe we could contact your father to verify. Victoria interrupts with theatrical disbelief, blocking Amara's phone. The mysterious aviation worker who supposedly bought his teenage daughter a $5,000 ticket, right? No coaching from accomplices. Security, I want her detained until we confirm she didn't steal credit card information. Her finger jabs into Amara's chest again. You picked the wrong flight attendant to mess with, sweetheart. The crowd watches, mouths open, as authority crushes innocence in real time. But Amara doesn't flinch. Her eyes narrow, studying Victoria's face with surgical precision, memorizing every line, every smirk, every subtle twitch. Her father's voice echoes in her mind. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Then decide what you're going to do about it. Ma'am, I'm going to board this flight, Amara whispers, voice quiet but unshakable. The words hit Victoria like a slap. Her confident smile falters just slightly. In first class, as ticketed as like hell you are, Amara adds, steel threading through every syllable. Victoria signals the gate agent to begin boarding others around them. Security, escort her out of my gate area. The officers hesitate, sensing the storm that's about to erupt. Something feels fundamentally wrong in the air. Victoria's instincts scream control, but Amara radiates quiet determination, a calm that makes the senior flight attendant twitch. I need to use the restroom first, Amara says, voice steady. Victoria narrows her eyes. Fine. 2 minutes, then you're gone. She turns, basking in the imagined applause of approving passengers, savoring her perceived victory. Inside the restroom, Amara's fingers move with precision. She dials her father's private line. Straight to voicemail. Back-to-back board meetings. Not a problem. She tries his assistant. Sterling Aviation, Mr. Thompson's office. Linda, it's Amara. Pull Victoria Sterling's employee file. Senior flight attendant. Full history. Now. Also, connect me to passenger services immediately. Honey, you sound upset. I'm fine. But Victoria Sterling just made the biggest mistake of her career. Amara's voice carries steel that Linda recognizes from boardroom confrontations. Linda hesitates, then patches her through. Authorization code Delta 7 Alpha. Passenger services, this is Michael. Michael, this is Amara Thompson. Pull Victoria Sterling's complete service record, disciplinary history, and current flight assignment immediately. Silence. Michael swallows hard. Miss Thompson, but you're supposed to be... I'm calling from Gate 12A. Your employee just denied me boarding and accused me of credit card fraud in front of 300 witnesses while multiple recording devices captured every second. What do you need? Jesus Christ, Michael mutters. Full documentation, every complaint, every incident report. Contact her direct supervisor immediately. Amara commands the conversation with executive poise and makes sure passenger relations understands this is now a federal discrimination case. Consider it done. Should we alert my father? Not yet. I'll handle Victoria Sterling my way first. Back at the gate, Victoria holds court, regaling passengers with stories of fraudulent passengers she's heroically caught. She doesn't notice she's describing the airline owner's daughter to the airline owner's customers. Amara's phone buzzes. Files arrive. Victoria's record is damning. 14 disciplinary actions, 6 formal complaints, 3 federal discrimination warnings, protected by the wrong middle manager, protection that expires in exactly 8 minutes. Victoria smirks at Amara's return. Security, I thought I told you to escort her out. Actually, ma'am, we'd like to speak with you privately, the senior officer says, tone clipped. Passenger services called during Amara's absence. Instructions are crystal clear. Document everything. I'm busy boarding passengers. Handle this fraud case and let me do my job, he adds. Amara steps up to the gate podium, calm as a boardroom lawyer. I'd like to file a formal complaint. Against whom? Victoria asks, amusement dripping from her words. Against you, Amara replies, voice sharp, precise, carrying legal weight, discrimination, assault, violation of federal transportation regulations. Victoria falters slightly, confidence flickering. Amara doesn't pause. You made physical contact without consent, seized my property illegally, and denied service based on racial profiling. Every word resonates, echoing across the gate. Multiple witnesses nod, their phones recording in real time. Passengers murmur nervously. Some check their recordings, realizing they may hold explosive evidence. I followed proper security protocols, Victoria begins, but Amara cuts her off, voice a scalpel slicing through false authority. Tell me, Miss Sterling, what specific indicators of fraud did you observe? The crowd holds its collective breath. Victoria has no answer. The spectacle has flipped, power shifting from the self-proclaimed queen of first class to the teenager who refuses to be broken. What training manual authorizes you to determine passenger suitability based on clothing choices? Amara's voice cuts through the gate like a gavel. Victoria stammers, unmoored. She expected tears, submission, not sharp cross-examination, from a teenager who speaks like she's testified before Congress. I have 23 years of experience with this airline, Victoria sputters. 23 years of documented discrimination, Amara fires back, holding up her phone. The screen glows with Victoria's disciplinary record, 14 total actions, 6 formal complaints, 3 prior racial profiling incidents, all somehow unpunished. The terminal falls silent. Victoria's face drains of color. A teenager is holding her career and her reputation in the palm of her hand. How do you have access to employee files? She stammers. Amara steps closer, her voice dropping to boardroom authority. The real question is, why are you still employed despite repeatedly violating federal civil rights law? But don't worry, Miss Sterling, that situation is being addressed as we speak. Through the terminal doors strides James Mitchell, Victoria's supervisor, summoned by an emergency call from corporate headquarters. His grim expression promises disaster for Victoria. "Victoria, we need to talk, now," Mitchell says, his voice carrying authority that silences nearby murmurs. Corporate has flagged this as an executive-level passenger incident. Victoria opens her mouth. "James, perfect timing. This girl, she's trying to board with fraudulent documents. Stop talking." Mitchell interrupts sharply, slicing through her excuses like a scalpel. "Miss Thompson, I sincerely apologize for this incident. Let me personally ensure you're properly accommodated," Mitchell adds, voice calm but weighty. Victoria freezes. Panic flickers behind her eyes. Why is her supervisor treating a teenager with executive-level deference? "I appreciate that, Mr. Mitchell," Amara says, calm and commanding. "But I think we need to address the systemic issues that allowed this incident to occur." Her tone carries the weight of boardroom authority, and even Mitchell shifts uncomfortably. "Absolutely. Whatever you need," Mitchell says, eyes darting between Amara and Victoria. "I need Miss Sterling to explain her actions. To these witnesses. They deserve to understand what they just participated in," Amara declares, gesturing toward the gathered passengers. Victoria's jaw tightens. She realizes her control has evaporated. Every step, every dramatic flourish, undone. "James, what's going on? Why are you—" she begins, voice trembling. "Because I just got off the phone with corporate headquarters," Mitchell whispers, deadly calm. Passengers strain to hear, captivated. "Do you understand what you've done? You thought you were protecting airline security from fraud. You attacked the wrong person, Victoria, the absolutely wrong person." Amara's phone buzzes. She glances at the screen, her father, but declines the call. The subtle defiance earns shocked looks from Mitchell, who immediately recognizes the implications. "Ms. Sterling," Mitchell says, voice clipped, measured, final. "You have 30 seconds to apologize to these passengers for the discrimination they just witnessed." Victoria swallows hard. The moment stretches. Every eye is on her. Every witness a potential record. Every phone a potential viral storm. The very authority she's built for decades teeters on the edge of collapse. Amara's calm delivery makes the ultimatum far more terrifying than shouting ever could. "I don't apologize for doing my job properly. Your job ended 10 minutes ago." Mitchell's hands tremble as he produces his tablet. "Victoria Sterling, you're suspended pending a federal investigation. Security will escort you off company property immediately." Victoria stares, disbelief cracking her composure. 23 years of authority crumble around her. "You can't suspend me over this little—" "Watch your next words carefully," Mitchell interrupts, voice low, deadly, filled with genuine fear. The crowd buzzes, phones capturing every second. Who is this teenager who can end careers with a single call? Victoria is about to discover that aviation worker is an understatement of the century. Her phone explodes with notifications, texts, alerts, social media mentions. "What did you do? Corporate is going insane. You're trending on Twitter." She checks. Videos of the incident are already viral. Hashtags like Airline discrimination climb trending lists with terrifying speed. Comments are brutal, personal, unrelenting. "This has to be a misunderstanding," Victoria mutters, voice cracking as 23 years of confidence evaporate. "James, you know me. I've worked here since I thought I knew you," she protests weakly. Mitchell glances at his tablet, paler than before. "Victoria, do you know who Amara Thompson is? Some kid trying to scam her way into first class with stolen credit cards? She's the CEO's daughter, Mitchell says. Each word lands like a hammer. The gate area goes silent except for the hum of phones recording her destruction in real time. Victoria freezes, trying to recall the whispered rumors about the CEO's fierce protection of his family. His 16-year-old daughter, the one you just accused of fraud, publicly humiliated. Mitchell's voice carries across the gate, amplified by camera phones, creating a federal discrimination case trending nationally in real time. Victoria's legs wobble. She grabs the podium as her world tilts sideways. I didn't know she was... You didn't know because you saw a black teenager and assumed criminality. Amara interrupts, quiet, precise, slicing through Victoria's desperate protest. Just like you did to the basketball player last month. Just like your documented pattern spanning 14 disciplinary actions. The businessman who cheered Victoria earlier scrambles, deleting his video. The board is convening an emergency session. Legal prepares federal defense statements. PR is in full crisis mode, all because she couldn't see past her prejudices. Victoria's phone rings, a call from corporate security. Her hands shake too violently to answer. Miss Sterling, Amara says, glancing at her watch with executive precision, you have one opportunity to salvage anything from this disaster. Publicly apologize to every person who witnessed your behavior, then quietly resign with whatever dignity remains. I won't resign, Victoria whispers. Then you'll be terminated with cause. No severance, no references, no pension. Humiliation has consequences beyond imagination. Victoria is about to learn that firsthand. Amara's phone buzzes, a text from her father. Boarding now. Gate 12A. In 5 minutes. Victoria notices the message. Confusion morphs into pure terror. Who's boarding at this gate? The gate area transforms instantly. Airport security forms a protective corridor. VIP services appear, escort vehicles waiting. Mitchell straightens his uniform, checks his watch, visibly nervous. The tide has turned. The CEO's daughter is boarding, and Victoria's reign of intimidation is over, obliterated in front of 300 witnesses and hundreds more online. Ms. Thompson, your father insisted on handling this personally. He'll be here momentarily. Mitchell's voice trembles with barely controlled panic. My father? Amara allows herself a smile for the first time since this nightmare began. That should be interesting. Victoria's mind races, connecting fragments, the difference in response, the emergency calls, the corporate frenzy, but the full scope still eludes her. James, who exactly is Thompson? She whispers, barely audible. Before Mitchell can answer, the corridor clears. Robert Thompson strides through the gate area. Every step exudes the commanding presence that transformed Sterling Aviation from a regional carrier into an international powerhouse. 6'2", impeccably dressed, radiating quiet authority, the kind that bends boardrooms and reshapes industries, a face gracing magazine covers and business documentaries worldwide. The crowd recognizes him instantly. Gasps ripple through the terminal. Every passenger realizes they've witnessed the systematic destruction of an employee by the company's owner. Daddy! Amara's single word echoes like a thunderclap across the silent terminal. Victoria's world collapses. Every assumption, every justification, every moment of arrogant authority shatters simultaneously. The teenager she humiliated is the daughter of the most powerful man in aviation. Robert Thompson surveys the scene with measured calm, the dangerous stillness before a corporate earthquake. Mr. Thompson, sir, I can explain, Mitchell begins, desperation creeping into his voice. No need, James. I reviewed the security footage during my drive over, Thompson says, voice calm, cutting, carrying the weight of billion-dollar decisions. Miss Sterling, I presume. Victoria can barely breathe. Her voice fails. 23 years with my company, Thompson continues. 14 disciplinary actions, 6 discrimination complaints, 3 federal warnings. And today, you physically assaulted my daughter while accusing her of fraud. Sir, I didn't know she was... Victoria stammers. You didn't know because you saw a young black woman and assumed criminality. Thompson snaps. Precision strikes in every word. The same racist assumptions you've made repeatedly throughout your career with my company. He turns to the mesmerized crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, you've witnessed behavior that violates every principle Sterling Aviation represents. I built this company on the belief that every passenger deserves dignity and respect. Phones record his every word. This moment will replay millions of times. Miss Sterling's behavior today represents the exact opposite of our values. She profiled my daughter based on race, physically intimidated a minor, and denied service based on personal prejudice. This ends now. Victoria finds a fragile voice. Mr. Thompson, please, you made a choice, repeatedly. For 23 years, you chose prejudice over policy, assumptions over evidence, humiliation over humanity. Thompson produces his phone with deliberate ceremony. I'm calling our legal department now. Federal discrimination charges will be filed within the hour. Criminal assault charges for touching my daughter. Civil rights violations for denying service based on race. Victoria's knees buckle. Her career, reputation, future, all disintegrate in real time. Sir, please. I have children. A mortgage. The time for please was before you laid hands on my child. Thompson's executive calm never wavers, making his words more devastating than rage could ever be. Before Victoria tore up her boarding pass, before she called security to arrest a child for the crime of being black in first class, Thompson turns to Mitchell with surgical precision. James, Ms. Sterling's termination is effective immediately. Security will escort her from company property, collect her badge, access cards, and all company property. Now. The crowd watches in stunned silence as one of America's most powerful executives destroys a career live, transforming blatant discrimination into a lesson on accountability and consequences. Victoria realizes this is only the beginning of her public and professional destruction. Legal is standing by for your statement, Miss Sterling, Thompson adds, gesturing to 2 attorneys who appear instantly. But first, let's address the broader implications of your actions. Victoria stares at the lawyers, horror etched across her face. Every move she made, every assumption, every act of arrogance is now subject to federal scrutiny. Statement. Federal law requires detailed documentation for discrimination cases.
Your behavior today violated the Civil Rights Act, federal aviation regulations, and company policy. Attorney Sarah Chen opens her tablet with methodical precision. Each violation carries clearly defined penalties. Thompson continues his systematic dismantling, voice calm but sharp with boardroom authority. James, I want every passenger who witnessed this incident compensated. Full refunds, first-class upgrades on future flights, and formal apologies from corporate leadership. Absolutely, sir. I also want a complete audit of Ms. Sterling's service record. Every passenger interaction over the past 5 years. Any evidence of discriminatory behavior gets reported to federal authorities immediately. Victoria's eyes widen, but the scope is expanding exponentially beyond her worst nightmares. Mr. Thompson, surely we can resolve this internally through HR, she stammers. Thompson laughs a sound without humor. Internal resolution. You assaulted my daughter in front of 300 witnesses while cameras recorded everything. This stopped being internal the moment you made a public spectacle of your racism. His phone buzzes incessantly. Board members, media outlets, government officials responding to the viral videos. Sterling Aviation stock fluctuates with every update. Ms. Chen, what are the federal penalties for airline employee discrimination? Criminal charges carry up to 10 years imprisonment, Chen says calmly. But civil penalties reach $150,000 per violation. Victims can seek additional damages for emotional distress, punitive measures, and legal costs. Victoria's face drains of color. Numbers cascade like an avalanche, threatening to destroy her life completely. I can't afford those kinds of, she begins. You should have considered the consequences before committing federal crimes. Thompson interrupts, tone sharp, devoid of sympathy. But the personal consequences pale compared to what you've done to this company. He turns to the crowd with executive authority. Sterling Aviation will cooperate fully with federal investigators. We will implement new training protocols, oversight systems, and accountability measures. This incident will drive positive change across the industry. Passengers begin clapping spontaneously. They are witnessing corporate accountability, lever rarity in modern business. A passenger calls out, "Mr. Thompson, how do we know this isn't just PR?" Thompson nods, acknowledging the challenge. Fair point. Here's what happens next. Within 30 days, we'll publish a comprehensive discrimination prevention plan. Every employee undergoes mandatory bias training with real consequences for failure. Customer service representatives have authority to override any decision that appears discriminatory. We're establishing a passenger advocacy board with genuine power to investigate complaints independently. Every allegation of discrimination receives external review by civil rights experts. Employees found guilty of bias face immediate termination and federal prosecution. Victoria watches in disbelief as her former colleagues record Thompson's promises. Her destruction has become the catalyst for industry-wide transformation. Additionally, Sterling Aviation will fund a scholarship program for underrepresented students pursuing aviation careers, because the best response to discrimination is creating opportunity for everyone. The crowd erupts into genuine applause. Thompson has transformed a corporate crisis into a textbook moment of leadership. Attorney Chen approaches Victoria with legal documents. Miss Sterling, you have the right to legal representation during federal questioning. I strongly advise I want to explain my side of what happened, Victoria interrupts. There is no your side in federal discrimination, Chen cuts sharply. Facts, witness statements, video evidence, and legal consequences speak for themselves. Your explanations will not change reality. Thompson checks his watch with precision. The FBI Civil Rights Division is sending agents to interview witnesses. This gate area is now officially a crime scene pending federal investigation. Victoria's horror deepens. FBI involvement transforms this from an employment dispute to a federal criminal case with life-altering consequences. Sir, I have children. a mortgage, so did every passenger you discriminated against over 23 years, Thompson says flatly. Their financial situations didn't prevent you from treating them with systematic contempt. Media crews arrive, tracking viral videos to their explosive source. Thompson seizes the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Sterling Aviation has always believed that our response to crisis defines our true character. Today, we choose accountability over excuse. Systemic change over minimal compliance. Ms. Sterling will face full legal consequences for her criminal actions. The terminal hangs in stunned silence, every phone capturing the unfolding justice. Victoria Sterling's career and credibility has been obliterated in front of hundreds of witnesses and millions online.
Our company will implement the most comprehensive anti-discrimination program in aviation history, Thompson declares, voice resonant and commanding. And my daughter will board this flight in first class as ticketed with the dignity every passenger deserves. Victoria finally comprehends the full magnitude of her downfall. She has become the poster child for everything wrong with corporate culture. Her termination will be referenced in business schools, legal textbooks, and sensitivity training programs for decades. Mr. Thompson, what message does this send to employees? A reporter shouts. Simple, Thompson responds, voice carrying like a corporate manifesto across the terminal. Discrimination has consequences, real consequences, career-ending, life-altering consequences. Bias isn't just morally wrong, it's legally actionable and professionally fatal. Victoria's phone explodes with messages from family, friends, former colleagues. The videos have gone viral, reaching millions. Her face is now synonymous with airline discrimination worldwide. Security, escort Miss Sterling from the premises immediately. Her employment is terminated effective now. All benefits, pension contributions, and severance are forfeited due to cause. But her nightmare has only begun. 3 weeks later, Victoria sits in a federal courthouse facing Judge Patricia Williams. National media attention covers the civil rights hearing, contrasting Sterling Aviation's transformation with Victoria's total downfall. Ms. Sterling, you stand accused of violating federal civil rights law, assault, and discrimination under color of authority, Judge Williams announces, her voice measured, commanding. The courtroom is packed, every observer tense. How do you plead? Victoria's overworked public defender whispers urgently, but she is beyond rational decision-making. Not guilty. I was performing my job duties. Your job duties included physical intimidation of minors, Judge Williams counters, silencing the room instantly. Prosecutor David Martinez presents evidence methodically. Your Honor, the defendant's actions were recorded by multiple witnesses. Video evidence shows clear discrimination based on race, physical contact without consent, and abuse of corporate authority. Gate area footage plays on courtroom screens in high definition. Victoria watches herself from the outside for the first time. The cruelty is undeniable. Her every expression, her performative authority, and her bias are on full display. Furthermore, Martinez continues, employment records reveal a documented pattern of discriminatory behavior spanning decades. 14 incidents, 6 formal complaints, 3 federal warnings, all ignored or inadequately addressed by prior management. Judge Williams reviews Victoria's personnel file with growing concern. Ms. Sterling, your record indicates repeated bias incidents over many years. What training did you receive to address these documented issues? The company provided some workshops, Victoria falters. But did you attend these mandatory workshops? Silence. Her hesitation speaks louder than any defense. The courtroom absorbs the damning answer. Every eye is fixed on Victoria Sterling. Her decades-long career of unchecked prejudice has been exposed in full view of the nation. Robert Thompson takes the witness stand, his presence commanding every eye in the courtroom. Calm, deliberate, and devastatingly precise, he begins. Your Honor, my daughter experienced trauma no child should endure in a public setting. But more importantly, Ms. Sterling's actions exposed systemic problems we are now addressing across the aviation industry. He details Sterling Aviation's comprehensive response: a complete policy overhaul, mandatory bias training with enforceable consequences, an independent oversight board, and zero-tolerance enforcement. We've already terminated 12 additional employees found guilty of discriminatory behavior, Thompson continues, his tone both measured and unyielding. Judge Williams nods approvingly. Mr. Thompson, your company's response demonstrates corporate responsibility rarely seen in discrimination cases. Victoria's public defender attempts last-ditch mitigation. Your Honor, my client's career is completely destroyed. She's unemployable in aviation, faces financial ruin, and endures social ostracism. Hasn't she suffered proportional consequences? Has she? Judge Williams responds, piercing Victoria directly. Do you understand the impact of your actions on Miss Thompson? Yes, Your Honor, Victoria whispers. Do you understand the broader impact on every passenger who witnessed your behavior? Every person who saw those videos and recognized their own experiences with institutional discrimination? Victoria nods weakly, finally grasping the scope of her actions. Do you understand that your actions reinforced harmful stereotypes and made air travel demonstrably less safe for people of color nationwide? Yes, Your Honor. Judge Williams rises, delivering her verdict with unflinching authority. This case represents more than individual misconduct. It demonstrates how unchecked bias corrupts institutions and damages society systematically. Ms. Sterling, you are sentenced to 18 months federal prison, 3 years supervised probation, and $75,000 in fines. Additionally, you are permanently banned from employment in transportation industries, required to complete 200 hours of community service with civil rights organizations, and prohibited from social media for 2 years to prevent further harm. Victoria collapses into her chair. The sentence reflects the case's high-profile nature and systemic importance for civil rights law. Judge Williams continues, turning to Thompson. Mr. Thompson, your daughter's courage in documenting this incident has sparked positive change across multiple industries. Several airlines are implementing similar reforms based on Sterling Aviation's model. Outside the courthouse, Victoria faces a relentless media scrum, trembling, mumbling, no comment. Former colleagues avoid eye contact. Social media, job interviews, apartment applications. Her public humiliation follows her everywhere. The viral discrimination video becomes her shadow. Meanwhile, Sterling Aviation thrives. Stock prices hit record highs. Corporate reputation surges. Thompson's crisis leadership earns global recognition. Victoria's story becomes a cautionary tale taught in business schools, legal seminars, and corporate training programs. Her face appears as the definitive example of what never to do. 6 months post-incident, Victoria Sterling's case catalyzes industry-wide transformation. Aviation Week features Robert Thompson on its cover, the CEO who changed everything. Sterling Aviation's reforms become the gold standard. Quarterly mandatory bias training with enforceable consequences, anonymous reporting systems, empowered frontline staff with override authority, and continuous monitoring of company culture. The Passenger Advocacy Board reviews 847 complaints in 6 months, identifying patterns invisible to traditional corporate structures. 12 employees face termination for bias violations. 200 more undergo retraining before infractions escalate into federal cases. Competitors scramble to implement similar programs defensively, reshaping industry norms. Victoria's career is destroyed, but her actions unintentionally ignite sweeping reforms, leaving a legacy that redefines civil rights compliance and corporate accountability in aviation forever. Delta announces comprehensive bias prevention initiatives. American Airlines revamps complaint procedures entirely. United Airlines establishes passenger rights advocates at major hubs nationwide. The Federal Aviation Administration proposes new regulations requiring anti-discrimination training for all customer-facing airline employees. Congressional hearings examine transportation bias, with Victoria Sterling's video serving as primary evidence of systemic problems. The Sterling case demonstrates that individual prejudice creates institutional problems requiring institutional solutions, testifies Dr. Maria Rodriguez, civil rights attorney. One employee's actions exposed industry-wide deficiencies demanding comprehensive reform. Amara Thompson, now 17, speaks at high school assemblies nationwide about confronting discrimination with courage. Her poise and articulation inspire thousands of teenagers facing similar challenges. People ask if I was scared, she tells students at Washington High School. Of course I was terrified, but my father taught me that fear is information, not instruction. The fear told me this was serious, but it didn't tell me to surrender my dignity. Students record her presentations, creating viral moments that contrast sharply with Victoria Sterling's destruction. Amara becomes a symbol of empowered youth confronting injustice with intelligence, not emotion. Sterling Aviation's customer satisfaction scores reach historic highs. Passengers report feeling safer, more respected, more valued. The company's crisis response generates loyalty beyond any advertising campaign. Victoria Sterling's prison term becomes a focal point for criminal justice reform debates. Some argue her sentence was excessive for first-time discrimination. Others insist it was proportionate to systemic harm caused. Her case becomes a staple in law school curricula, sparking debates on corporate liability, individual accountability, and systemic reform strategies. Victoria's name becomes synonymous with the consequences of unchecked institutional bias. Meanwhile, aviation industry demographics gradually shift toward inclusion. The scholarship program inspired by Amara's experience funds 150 students annually. Applications from underrepresented communities increased 300% across major airlines. Young people cite the Sterling case as motivation for pursuing aviation careers. They see an industry confronting its problems rather than ignoring them. Flight attendants undergo enhanced training emphasizing dignity, respect, and cultural competence. The profession begins attracting candidates with social work backgrounds, conflict resolution skills, and a commitment to service rather than mere authority. Victoria's former colleagues embrace the changes, recognizing how her behavior endangered everyone's careers. They become advocates for reform, understanding that discrimination liability threatens entire companies, not just individuals. 1 year later, Amara faces her next challenge with newfound confidence. Boarding a Sterling Aviation flight to London for a business conference with her father, she is greeted warmly by the gate agent, not because of viral videos, but because of company diversity materials featuring her scholarship program. "Miss Thompson, welcome back. First-class boarding begins in 15 minutes. "Thank you," Amara replies, smiling genuinely. The interaction feels natural, respectful, and human. Flight attendant Marcus Williams, Victoria Sterling's replacement as senior cabin crew, approaches. "Ms. Thompson, I wanted to thank you personally. Your courage changed everything for people like me." Marcus represents Sterling Aviation's new hiring initiative, employees selected for empathy, cultural competence, and commitment to dignity. His background in social work and conflict resolution now carries equal weight with aviation experience. "The training program you inspired helped me identify my own unconscious biases," he continues with authentic gratitude. "I thought I was immune because I experienced discrimination myself. Turns out everyone has blind spots requiring constant vigilance." During the flight, Amara reflects on the year's transformative changes. Victoria Sterling served 8 months before early release to a halfway house. Her community service involved speaking at bias prevention workshops, an ironic if impactful redemption through education. Her presentations resonated deeply, teaching audiences the mechanics of discriminatory thinking. "I destroyed a child's dignity because I couldn't see past my assumptions," Victoria confesses during a session. "I nearly destroyed a company because I valued prejudice over policy. Don't become me." Robert Thompson's philosophy evolves through the crisis. Corporate values must be lived, not just proclaimed. Preventing discrimination requires courage from leaders and empowerment for employees to challenge authority when necessary. Sterling Aviation's financial performance validated the approach. Revenue increased 23%, and employee satisfaction reached record highs. Amara begins her senior year with scholarship offers from top universities. "I could study anywhere," she tells her father on the London flight, "but I want to study here. Aviation management, civil rights, law, corporate leadership. I want to understand how systems actually change." The plane descends toward London. Amara reviews her college applications, each essay reflecting the same central lesson. Individual courage catalyzes systemic change, but lasting transformation requires unwavering institutional commitment. Discrimination thrives in silence and withers under sustained scrutiny. Speaking up was necessary, but insufficient. Real change involves creating systems where bias cannot take root. Amara observes Marcus, ensuring every passenger is genuinely welcomed during disembarkation. Dignity isn't performance, it's practice. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you witnessed discrimination in travel? How did you respond? What changes would you implement to prevent bias in customer service? Like this video if you believe in standing up to discrimination wherever you find it. Your engagement helps Fate Tales reach those who need to hear these lessons. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our community of people committed to holding systems, leaders, and gatekeepers accountable. You've just witnessed the gap between power and responsibility, and how courage and accountability can close it. At Fate Tales, we close that gap one story at a time.